On Saturday, March 9th, the god of war Mars will square unpredictable Uranus, bringing explosive interactions, technical issues, and careless accidents if you're not careful. I'm here to tell you more and to break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you appreciate my work and appreciate my content, please take a second to support me by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. It really helps. It's small and quick, but it encourages YouTube algorithm to show my content to more people, helps me grow, helps me bring more content your way. You also have the option of saying thank you by buying me a coffee, tea, or anything like that. That is also really, really lovely. Before we dive in, if you ever have important questions, if you feel like you need astrological guidance, you can book a reading with me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Right now is a great time to do that because we are nearing the eclipse season and the energies may be a little bit electric and unpredictable. On my website, you can also find my creations, such as my 2024 planner. It is currently discounted. I have worked on it over the course of a few months in 2023. It contains 225 pages filled with guides, insights, journaling prompts, anything you need to make your year better, including good days for love, challenging days, lucky dates, etc. This is a great tool to have in your arsenal. On my website, you can also find candles. For example, this is my Moon in Cancer 2 candle, my latest creation. This one captures the moon in rulership in the sign of Cancer, helping you relax, unwind, deal with any anxiety, any unpredictable energy. This is a must for the eclipse season because, you know, the moon will be going through eclipses, and so it's going to be a bit more challenging emotionally. This is the remedy for anyone born with their natal moon in Capricorn or Scorpio. Capricorn moon tends to struggle asking for help, has this feeling of having the world on their shoulders. And if your moon is in Scorpio, you may hold on to dark feelings and sort of struggle relaxing. Additionally, if your natal moon is in the 6th, the 8th, or the 12th houses filled with drama, tension, health issues, financial issues, mental health struggles, this is perfect for you. And if your moon is conjunct, square, opposite Saturn, Pluto, Mars, Uranus, or Neptune. And the second candle I'd like to highlight is the Exalted Mars candle, which can help you exercise, hit your goals, achieve kind of success, and express yourself with confidence, perseverance, and diligence. This is great for the upcoming Mars-Uranus square or any difficult Mars transits when the energy can be harder to sort of harness, because Mars is all about action and Uranus can disrupt your action, can sort of create surprises. And this is a great remedy for people born with their Mars in Cancer, in Taurus, or Libra, signs of its fall and detriment. If your Mars is in the 6th, 12th, or 8th houses, if you have Mars aspecting Saturn, Uranus, natally, or Pluto. Thank you for listening. Thank you for, being patient with me while I'll tell you about the exciting products I create. So let's talk about Mars squaring Uranus. What's interesting is on Sunday, March 3rd, we had Venus squaring Uranus. And Venus squaring Uranus could have brought surprises in your relationships, encouraging you to adapt, encouraging you to address the new information. Or it could have been about inviting disruptions, inviting change, being the source of change, right? In order to have more stability in your life. So Sunday, March 3rd was important because on March 9th, on Saturday, we will now have Mars squaring Uranus. And while Venus in a square to Uranus is softer because Venus is the planet of connection, Mars is the planet of disruption. It's not necessarily disruption. Uranus is more about disruption, but like Mars likes to cut, Mars likes to sever and separate. Mars is the most ego-driven planet out there. if you're surprised to find out that it's not the sun, it is not the sun. Mars is actually more about standing apart versus being together. So Mars is the planet of war, it's the planet of action, conflict, independence, drive. So what happens when it squares with Uranus? Square is a difficult aspect. Square creates events that are harder to deal with. It's not like a free-flowing, happy energy, right? So Uranus, being the planet of rebellion, revolution, and change, can add that into your life, and then the ego feels threatened. The fighter within you has like a fight or flight response. So these are some of the energies we will be dealing with over the course of the next few days. This goes exact on Saturday, March 9th, but we start to feel it on Thursday, March 5th, and it lasts until Wednesday, March 13th. So we get pretty much an entire week of this, and it happens at about 19 degrees 40 minutes of Aquarius. Mars is in Aquarius and Taurus. Uranus is in Taurus. So you will feel it the most if you have planets between 16 and 23 degrees fixed signs, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. Then you gotta pay extra attention to it. But I think having that transit, having that square between, I feel like I said it starts on Thursday, March 5th, but it's actually Tuesday, March 5th. So correction there. We start to feel it on Tuesday, March 5th. So this is important to note that it's basically just on the heels of the Venus in a square to Uranus, because Venus just squared Uranus on the 3rd of March on Sunday, and now we have this another one. So sorry about that. I feel like that sort of slowed me down in my head, because I was like, this doesn't make sense. It cannot be Thursday, March 5th if I know that Thursday is my friend's birthday and it's March 7th. So I think, right? Yeah, March 7th. Okay. Mercury is in Pisces, you guys. You know, I am born with Mercury in Libra, and we will get through this. We will get everything. But Mercury being in Pisces is definitely a little bit more like kind of, non-traditional. The information is given like this. We're swimming towards the information. I'm curious, by the way, I know it's like a little bit off topic, but are you feeling Mercury in Pisces? Have you been noticing since February 23rd that your mind maybe is a little bit chaotic, that the way you think is perhaps more imaginative and creative, but not traditional, that maybe there are some details that are slipping your attention? But back to Mars and Uranus. So everything applies. The exact aspect is Saturday, March 9th, but you start to feel it from Tuesday, March 5th, and it lasts until Wednesday, March 13th. So a little bit over a week, right? And so like I said, Mars is your ego. Mars is your kind of fighter within you. It's your ambitions, your desires, and Uranus wants to stand apart. Uranus is full of surprises. Uranus, on one level, these two are quite similar, but I think if Mars has a purpose and direction, Uranus sometimes is just more like disruptive, right? It's not necessarily as focused as Mars, I'm gonna say. So things you can expect, right? Mars representing conflict in a square to Uranus can result in explosive interactions. And that would potentially comes out of the blue. You stand in line at a grocery store, somebody starts arguing, it turns violent. That's, I think, the most kind of challenging aspect here, where because it's Mars versus Venus on Sunday, March 3rd, there's more potential for it being jolting, violent, disruptive, painful. So try to, be aware of that, avoid kind of difficult situations if you can see them. Of course, not everyone is going to experience it like that. I'm sure, everyone will be fine, but there's definitely, with Mars being aggravated by a square to Uranus, that can happen. Because Mars rules cutting and separating, with Mars squaring Uranus, there can be a sudden separation, a sudden ending of a relationship, for example, or of a connection of a professional line of work where you choose to step away. You feel like you've had enough and you're quitting and you're just like packing your things, even though you've had a plan to stick around and work a little bit longer. There may be technical issues, very much like technical disruptions, because Mars being in Aquarius, the sign that is very kind of scientific, intelligent, intellectual, and a square to Uranus can suggest some kind of interruptions. Be aware of that and try to avoid sort of messing maybe with technology around this time. If you are, like this, on one hand, this could be like really great in terms of breakthroughs if you are working on some kind of project, but stay safe. Do not kind of take reckless risks. Avoid driving too fast. Like I said, careless accidents are a possibility here. So avoid driving too fast. I think I said too far, but don't drive too fast. Try to stay flexible. Maybe don't kind of lift extra heavy weights. Do not go crazy doing things at the gym. Express this energy through experimentation, through finding ways to innovate, but try to have like a good balance of being safe, and beware of like you and other people overreacting. But of course, like I said, this could be quite groundbreaking, and the disruption that happens, the challenge that you encounter, even a technical issue, right? Like if you run into a technical difficulty where your phone stops recording because you ran out of space. It happened to me. This is the personal example, but like if that happens, it's a sign for you, right? Like it's unpleasant. It's a bad example of an upgrade that you will make eventually, but it's a sign. It's a sign that you need to update. If your car breaks down in the middle of a road, right, it's a sign that you need to get a new car. And eventually, with Uranus in Taurus, the sign of stability and security and longevity, you will kind of end up having more balance in your life. Just initially, you may have to deal with some frustration. And try to be more adaptable, for sure. That's another big lesson here, is to be kind of proactive and to be flexible. And the more you resist, the more it persists, right? If it's like a thought, if it's an action, if it's a situation, and you try to resist adjusting, it will keep knocking until you hear it. So this is my take on this transit. Please share what was Venus in a square to Uranus on Sunday. You can look at Friday, Saturday, Sunday, early, sort of the first 5 days of March. What was that like? Please share. Now let's take a look at the 12 signs. I do recommend listening for your rising sign, because rising sign rising sign determines where the transits fall in your chart, and I use whole sign house system, so it's pretty kind of, it makes a lot of sense. For example, if you are an Aries rising, Aquarius will be your 11th house, versus if you're an Aries sun, you can have Aquarius, Mars in any given house based on where your sun is. So long story short, listen for your rising first, but if you resonate with your sun or your moon, do not hesitate to add those into the mix. And definitely check out my Venus in a square to Uranus video, because that might give you extra clues. I'm going to try to do a quick run through these, because it's quite similar to Venus in a square to Uranus, but who knows, maybe we'll end up talking about it longer than I think we will, because Mercury, once again, is in Pisces. If you are an Aries rising, Mars in your 11th house squares Uranus in the 2nd house. Disruptions, fights, conflicts, connected to resources. You find out that a friend took money that you've been saving for a trip, or you've been planning to do something with finances, and you discover that a friend took action, didn't consult you, made plans, spend money, a friend, a partner, someone you work with. So conflict in your friendship, with your colleagues, with people you consider allies. And of course, this tension, the drama, could be an invitation for you to examine your connections, right? Are you And people in your life, are you aligned? Are you happy with them? Do you need to have conversations that will bring you closer? Additionally, sort of, like inner frustration about money, about resources can spill over and result in you maybe being more aggressive, maybe being more frustrated and kind of like, I guess, sensitive, right? Like overly sensitive. The invitation here is also, I think, to be more thoughtful about the best use of the resources you have and the best application of the resources you have to the plans you have. And please let me know how this resonates. How was Venus in a square to Uranus on Sunday for you? Next, we have Taurus rising, Mars in your 10th house, squaring Uranus in the 1st house. So here we have tension between the house of work, public life, expectations other people have of you, and your personal need for independence, personal revolution, personal freedom. So you might be the rebel, right? Like you might be the one who feels kind of like fed up and is ready to sever ties and separate. So conflicts with bosses, conflicts with colleagues, conflicts with people who are kind of authority figures can lead to separation, severing a connection, stepping away. The invitation here, I think, with Uranus being in your 1st house is to be proactive about change. If you feel fed up with a situation, if you feel like ready for a new beginning, do not kind of wait, because I think a lot of times the restlessness and the frustration can be a symptom of you being ready for that next move, for you, like you being ready for a transformation. So figure out ways how you can reinvent yourself and redefine who you are without letting other people impact you too much. But definitely changes around work, changes around health, changes around self-definition are likely. And please let me know how was Venus in a square to Uranus on Sunday, March 3rd for you, a couple of days before, a couple of days after. If you are a lovely, chatty Gemini rising, Mars in your 9th house is squaring Uranus in your 12th house. So here we're looking at conflicts with teachers, with lawyers, with mentors, gurus. There could be conflicts of values, some kind of, disagreement you're having about beliefs and philosophies that turns ugly and turns into a screaming fight. So you got to be aware of that. The square to Uranus in the 12th house, it's like interesting because I feel like this conflict can awaken you. It's meant with Uranus in the 12th house, you are going through this like very important period of shedding and releasing and transforming and letting things go so that you can emerge a brand new you when Uranus goes into Gemini next year. So what needs to be released, right? Like where are you being too maybe scared, too fearful, too sort of kind of like where are you being like that, but where are you being too fixed beliefs that are not good for you when may need to be addressed, and it can come at you through some kind of fight about something or an ideological battle or maybe an interesting discovery that then encourages you to rethink your idea of the world. There might also be kind of disruptions of travel. Be careful traveling at this time. There could be problems you need to address surrounding education, writing, publishing, legal matters, and an invitation to be more flexible and to be more innovative, I think, when it comes to that. And let me know what was Venus squaring Uranus like on March 3rd for you, because this is not that far, except this one has the potential to be more dramatic. Next, we have Cancer rising. For Cancer rising, Mars in your 8th house is squaring Uranus in the 11th house. And I think here you're examining your finances, you're examining your relationships with other people and agreements you have with other people, dependencies you have with other people, the debts and money that is owed to you, and how is that holding you back? Uranus in the 11th could be you discovering something about a friend. There could be a disagreement with a friend. There could be surprises related to your plans for the future, and then a need to be more flexible with finances. You can also be getting in, I think, like the invitation here is you need to be adaptable, and you need to figure out how you can better manage your resources in order to reach your dreams, and how you can maybe build relationships that are more connected, that are more honest, that are more free, because chances are with Uranus in the 11th house, you are exploring new possibilities, new dreams, new goals in life, but you feel a little bit, I feel like with this like 8th house energy with Mars and Venus there, you're feeling a little bit restricted. You're feeling kind of caught up with all these like, well, I owe this to this person. I cannot do that because they rely on me. So the tension that's building around there can like explode and lead to a passionate debate around this time, to like an important conversation. Just beware and instead try to figure out how you can slowly make steps to bring that freedom and have that satisfaction and that sort of ability to do what you want to do. And please let me know what was Venus in a square to Uranus like on March 3rd, a couple of days before, a couple of days after. Next, we have Leo rising. If you are a Leo rising, Mars in your 7th house is squaring Uranus in your 10th house, and you have tension between your relationship and your career, where there's literally something happening at work, a fire you need to put out, an opportunity that's coming up to relocate, to go start school in Africa, something that's like really exciting and something that is maybe disruptive somehow, that is affecting your relationship. There is an invitation there to examine whether a relationship is meant to last. If you feel like it's not meant to last, do not rush to necessarily kind of sever a connection if it's a good connection. Perhaps you can work through it. There might also be disagreements between you and your partner about the future that you need to work through with compassion and patience. Or this could also affect your business relationship, right? Like if you have a business partnership and you also have a bunch of other duties, perhaps you end up getting in a fight. And it doesn't have to be a fight, but there could be some kind of like breakthrough surrounding goals and your public life and your desire for the future and your relationships, right? Like how to balance those two, how to manage those two. And please let me know what was Venus in a square to Uranus like on Sunday, March 3rd, 2 days before, 2 days after, because that is the sure way to know what might be coming back up again, because this energy continues to now affect Mars. Next, we have Virgo rising with your Mars in the transit Mars in the 6th house, squaring Uranus in the 9th house. And you're looking at breakdowns and breakthroughs at work that are triggered by some kind of ideological shift. You realize that you no longer want to be in a service type industry and you decide to quit your job. That there might also be changes in your work due to educational breakthroughs, getting a scholarship, right, to go to college, travel opportunities, publishing, legal matters that are affecting you, some kind of, like you find out that you signed an NDA agreement and it's still active, so you can't take a certain job. So there's a need to be more flexible. There's also a need to look at the house of health, the house of service to other people, and perhaps make adjustments there, right? Like if Uranus in the 9th house is making your life really busy, you're studying, you're traveling, you're writing, publishing your work, perhaps you realize that you haven't changed your phone in too long, or you haven't updated your car, or you haven't been to the dentist because your life is too busy. So the negative here, I think, could bring some kind of, like health matter to your attention that you haven't attended to. And the advice here is, of course, to be proactive. Try to be the one who instigates change. Try to be flexible and adaptable, and don't wait for a challenging energy to come your way. And let me know how Venus in a square to Uranus on March 3rd, Sunday, 2 days before, 2 days after, affected you? Have you dealt with any of those themes already? Because they're likely coming back. Next, we have the beautiful Libra rising with Mars in your 5th house of romance, pleasure, children, squaring Uranus in your 8th house. And Uranus in the 8th can bring disruptions around resources, around your partner's finances, around your agreements with other people, around dependencies on other people. So Uranus in the 8th can bring a sudden bill you have to pay that then doesn't let you go on a trip, right? Or makes you postpone a trip. It could bring a disruption in your partner's resources where your partner was supposed to help you pay for something, but they suddenly need to pay for something else and they cannot afford to support you. There might be some kind of like disagreement and tension about some values that you and your partner don't share, and that results in a passionate debate, a passionate sort of exchange. Watch out, of course, for it turning too dramatic, but definitely an invitation to be more flexible, to be more open-minded when it comes to money, when it comes to values, when it comes to agreements with other people. But of course, if it's like a really big problem and your partner like never has money and you really want to travel with them and they can never afford it, maybe it's an invitation to kind of reconsider the relationship, right? Or if you have a really big disagreement in the relationship. But on the positive, this could be some kind of like breakthrough, right? In your relationship, you discover something. Even if it's challenging, it can be helpful in the long run because it can help you get closer. It can help you heal on some level. It can also be a sign of like sexual awakening or sexual breakthrough because Mars in the 5th house can expend some of the dramatic energy in the bedroom. And let me know what was Venus in a square to Uranus like on March 3rd, Sunday, a couple of days before, a couple of days after, because that energy is likely to be coming back with this Mars-Uranus square. If you are a Scorpio rising, Mars in the 4th house is squaring Uranus in your 7th house, and we're dealing with energy, initiative, conflicts in the family, in the home, matters connected to real estate, matters connected to parents, matters connected to children, in response to breakthroughs, breakdowns in relationships and partnerships, in business agreements. So if you have been, let's say you've been living together with your significant other and the relationship is ending, and then you need to readjust and you need to find a different place, or you and your partner disagree about the future living situation or disagree about how many kids you should have. So there is potential, sort of very kind of potential of like having fights about family, about their mother being involved with them or them being involved with their father. It's just sort of kind of codependency, any secrets, anything they haven't told you, something can come up, like you find out that your partner has spent some money that they didn't tell you, and that results in kind of conflict. So the healthy way of dealing with this is figuring out how you can transform your relationship, what can you do differently, how you can be innovative in the relationship and in your home when it comes to real estate, when it comes to design of your home, and try to move through conflicts with patience. And let me know what was Venus in square to Uranus like on Sunday, March 3rd, a couple of days before, a couple of days after, because this energy is repeated. And if you'd like a reading, book one with me at anastasia.astrology.com. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Mars in the 3rd house squares Uranus in the 6th house, you may experience conflicts with siblings, conflicts with neighbors, if they have been too demanding of you, if they have sort of expected a lot of you and you have been very agreeable with them, something can be sort of bubbling up and bursting. There might be scheduling issues, there might be issues around travel. Uranus in the 6th house can pressure test your health, maybe even health of somebody in your life. Some kind of like sudden surprise can come up. There may be a work situation that demands your attention and is coming out of left field. There might be some conflicts with colleagues that are encouraging you to communicate, I think, with assertiveness, but also with patience, because if you communicate too harshly or if you express all of the anger, it can result in like a lot of drama, a lot of kind of like explosive energy. But here you are, I think, invited with Mars in the third house to be proactive about communicating, about saying what needs to be said, about changing your schedule, decluttering, figuring out a better flow instead of letting things crumble and fall down. Because I think this could just be the time when you realize that there's been like way too many things going on and you can't handle them all. And the result could be like, I quit this job, I'm done helping you, whatever. And like, perhaps instead of being, instead of throwing your hat and walking away, hat up in the air, you can figure out how to be more patient but proactive. And let me know what was Venus in a square to Uranus on Sunday, March 3rd like, a couple of days before, a couple of days after, because this is the energy that is coming back. And if you'd like to work with me, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Now is a good time because of the eclipse season. Da-da-da-da. If you are a Capricorn rising, Mars in your second house is squaring Uranus in the fifth house, and you're dealing with a need to change, a need to adjust your values or adjust in your house of money in response to surprises, disruptions, breakdowns, and breakthroughs in the house of romance, pleasure, and children. So, getting pregnant, I know I've used this example before, but it's just like a really, really good example. Uranus in the fifth house throws a surprise your way. You find out you're pregnant. Some kind of creative opportunity coming your way. A romantic conflict, a romantic disagreement can result in, a conflict, right? It can result in some kind of frustration. It can also cost you money with Mars in second house squaring Uranus. And so if you feel like, let's say your partner has been borrowing money from you all the time and you just have had enough, maybe there is an invitation there to talk about it, to be honest, to be direct about it, but not aggressive, right? I know it will feel a little bit harder to get the levels right, but if you know that this is coming and you're having some kind of disagreements around money, around values, around parenthood, pleasure, sex, children, anything like that, you can try to be a little bit more zen, or you can try to maybe stay indoors and be mindful of overreacting to things, right? But I can also see breakthroughs and breakdowns around bad habits, because fifth house can represent like going out too much, partying too much, and realization that you're not saving any money because of that. Although you're a Capricorn rising, I don't know how much you party. I'm sure, like Capricorn risings are actually, they follow the rules and you know how to break them. So I'm sure you party. But like some kind of breakdown around love, around pleasure, around good and bad habits, and looking at how this affects your finances or how you can better align with your significant other or your child when it comes to your values. And take a look back at March 3rd when Venus squared Uranus. Give it a couple of days before, a couple of days after. What kind of themes came up? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to work with me, you can book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com to find out what this eclipse season has in store for you and to talk with yours truly about your natal chart. Now, if you are an Aquarius rising, then Mars in your first house is squaring Uranus in your fourth house. So Uranus being in the fourth house can bring disruptions in the family that you need to adjust to, like a parent moves to another country and now you need to help out with another parent, or you need to help out with your siblings, or some kind of, some kind of situation in the family that you need to address, that you need to step up to. Uranus in the fourth house can bring surprises in the home. There could be some kind of like secrets getting revealed. There could be, you know, like a pipe bursting or some kind of sudden development that encourages you to move, that encourages you to change how you approach things. There might also be some kind of tensions in the home. For example, if you have like a roommate that is not respecting the rules of the house and keeps bringing people and having parties. So all of that tension can kind of like burst up and result in fights. And I would, of course, advise you that you express the frustration as it comes up. Don't let it build up, and try your best to communicate with patience as much as you can, right? And express this energy. If you feel kind of too overwhelmed, maybe go for a walk, breathe, exercise, do something to kind of let the steam out before you go yelling at people you live with, or before you go storming off, moving out, slamming doors, etc. And let me know what was Venus in a square to Uranus like. We had that on Sunday, March 3rd, a couple of days before and a couple of days after. Have you noticed any of this coming up already? Because it is coming back around. If you'd like to know more, if you'd like to know what eclipse season has in store for you, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to offer additional guidance and give you important insights on the year to come or your natal chart. Now, if you are a Pisces rising, Mars in your 12th house will square Uranus in the 3rd house. And here, this is interesting because here you're looking at your subconscious, at your self-defeating tendencies, at your fears, at anything you are maybe sweeping under the rug, not addressing. So any kind of, you know, anywhere where you maybe let people off the hook. Like if you've been, you know, if you've had a friend who only reaches out to you when they're struggling but never calls you when they're doing well, right? Like this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. You just like have a fight with them, or there could be some kind of drama, breakthrough in your house, maybe because 3rd house is your local environment, you know, some kind of conflict with a neighbor, conflict with a sibling that just makes you realize how much frustration you've been carrying, and then it maybe like explodes and it comes out. There might also be a breakthrough in your thinking. If you do end up in a fight with someone, or if you do end up feeling tense and kind of restless, there is information there, right? Like there is a kind of insight. And the positive way you can deal with this, the way you can like deal with this, the way you can adjust and be more proactive would be leaning into spirituality, right? Like leaning into your gifts, kind of calming yourself down by doing yoga, by doing breathing techniques, by meditating, anything that is like more soothing to you. Maybe there's also like a breakthrough in therapy, but you may definitely come at it from like either like internal restlessness and frustration, maybe even like, you know, like honestly, Uranus in the 3rd can be like a train delay or a train getting stuck, and you just like feel like you're bursting out and getting angry. And in reality, it's not about the train, it's about something else. So here you're very much becoming more aware of what is frustrating you and dealing with this, hopefully in patient and spiritual ways, instead of by punching your neighbors or something like that. And let me know what was Venus in a square to Uranus like on March 3rd, Sunday, because that would have been a preview of what's coming up right now. If you'd like to work with me, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Now is a really good time to do it because we are getting closer and closer to the eclipse season, and so you may find getting guidance right now extra helpful. This is it. I hope you found this video helpful and eye-opening, transformative, Uranian. I will talk to you very soon. If you have any advice, any ideas in terms of what content you'd like to see more, do not hesitate to let me know, and talk to you soon. Bye.